Hey y'all, it is Angela from Back Porch Farmstead. I wanted to bring you a quick video today about cover crops. So people usually think of cover crops as the big scale agriculture thing because we see farmers at the end of the year, they'll plant something like clover or winter rye to the field they just harvested from, just to keep it lower on the weed pressure. And you'll see that and you'll think, oh, well, that's just something that big farmers do because they can till it in at the end of the season. But I wanted to bring you guys some information about using a cover crop on a homestead scale level. So one of the cover crops that we like a lot and we use pretty regularly, we haven't used it yet at this property, but we used it a lot at the old property, is buckwheat. So these are two varieties that I got from Baker Creek. I liked them because they were red, but you can get white buckwheat as well, in larger quantities on some place like Johnny Select, that kind of bigger seed company. But buckwheat is an amazing cover crop for the homestead level person because you basically, they are very, very easy to identify when they are small. So if you don't catch it before it goes back to seed, you can pluck it out really easily. It grows very, very fast. If you have moist conditions and warm enough conditions, you can see sprouts in as little as 3 or 4 days. And they will actually be to flowering by 3 weeks. And I'll tell you in a minute why that's super important. But these are one of the easiest things to use as a green mulch. Buckwheat is an amazing green mulch because it's basically something you can chop and drop in place. It basically has also a really fine root hair, so it's great at getting little fine pockets of just roots in there, so that when you do chop it and drop it, those roots die back and you have all that proliferation area for water to get in easily into your root zone of your plants. But it's a really, really great green mulch if you want to use it that way. Like I said earlier, 3 weeks to flowers. So one of the reasons we picked buckwheat as a great cover crop for our place is we have bees, and during certain seasons there's something called a dearth. It depends on who you're talking to, how southern they are. But during that dearth season, it's drier and there's not any nectar flow really going on any massive scale, and that's where buckwheat comes in. It is not picky on soil. It's not super picky on moisture levels. So if it's a little on the drier side, it will still bloom, and the bees love it. And you have blooms with nectar in them in about 3 weeks time. About a week and a half after that, it goes to seed. So you can let it do its flowers for about a week, and then you can go in and you can chop and drop it if you're wanting to use that space for annuals growing sooner rather than later, or you can just let it go to seed on its own, and you'll have another cycle of it planted, essentially, just by it self-propagating itself. You also can, if you do it 4 to 6 weeks before your last frost, you can just let it winter kill in place. It'll lay down the frost. It's very, very frost tender, so it'll just lay down, and then you'll have something on the ground level that's just going to the worms and soil life is going to come in and eat that, and you'll have much better soil at your next season. But I wanted to bring you guys that information because this is one of our favorites. It is, like I said, very easy to identify. So if it does go to seed and you don't want it there, you can just pluck it right out, leave it as that green mulch, and it's a super fast thing. And we're noticing with the bigger garden this year, weed control is a very important thing. You have to remember that anytime you don't put a plant you want in that spot, nature will fill that spot with a weed, with something maybe that you don't want. If you fill it with something that you don't mind and it has several different benefits, you are going to be much better off in the long run. So think about cover crops, guys. As we get closer to winter, we'll talk about winter rye and some other ones that we use, clover being one. But we'll bring that to you guys in due season. I hope you all are having a great week. Bye.